So today, I thought it would be good to start talking about we've got seniors and we need to be wrapping them up. I don't think necessarily we should be archiving them anytime soon, but one of the big topics, of course, is about student outcomes and capturing student outcomes. So, first question I wanted to bring up is why do you think it's important? Like, why should we be capturing student outcomes? What do you guys think?
It will help us next year get a better sense of who out of our kids, especially from different high schools. And I think it's good information for us next year, or even
Yeah,
as we advise the juniors. At least that's the way I'm looking at it.
yeah. And do you guys use any of the reports, the reporting functionality that's in Council More?
Not as much as we have to. And that is
Because
what I'm telling.
because
I
I want to show you one that's based on the outcome reports and or the outcomes that you put in. And truthfully, I did not do as good a job last year. I'm trying to do a much better job with reporting or with outcomes and everything for this next year. But I wanted to show you the reports. I'm actually pretty impressed with it. Not that that's surprising, but okay. So admissions outcomes. So I'm going to look at 2025, last year's people, and I need to refresh the data. And I'm going to go look at what this is looking at initial decision. And that's one that I didn't use a lot last year. I think I did, but I didn't have as many people that were getting that initial deferral or whatever. But if I go look at final decision, then I'm looking at, well, what was the final decision or how many of them were accepted? What was the denial? Whatever. And I mean, this is kind of high level information, but where I found it to be useful, I just got off the phone with a mom who's extremely unhappy that her child did not get into a school. So we were talking about, Auburn. And if I go look at Auburn, I can actually go see all of the students that either got denied, got accepted, whatever. And over here, I can see what was the average GP or the average SAT score or GPA of people that got accepted, right? I can also come down here and I can look at other trends. So I can see I had 9, I had 3 accepted. That wasn't a great school for me. But if I want to go look and understand more about what did Asher's application look like or go see anything about him, there's a link right there. So I just think that's kind of valuable as you're trying to look at and help people figure out based on schools they might put on their college list, et cetera. And so you've got to capture all that information in order to be able to go back and look at it later. And then, of course, down a little bit lower, they've got some data on number of submitted apps, acceptance rate, average admitted GPAs, et cetera, for your students. And then you can, of course, go look at your the scattergrams, and your students will be in the little purple boxes. If you haven't gone in and looked at the reports lately, I think they're constantly updating them. And it was only last week when I started getting some questions. I'm like, let me go look at this. And I realized that this specific one had really been modified a lot. And I even noticed I started looking at my 2026s to see, where they're at so far, and how many have totally been how many denials do we have. I mean, a lot of them are still obviously in deferred round, so they won't be that high, but it kind of gives you a little bit of a clue about where you're sitting as you're going through the season as well for your current year. So this is your own personal data set.
Okay. So you had a couple hundred people apply to.
No. It's not a couple hundred people. It's applications. So if I had 10 students and they all applied to 10 schools, that's going to be 100 applications. Because, I mean, there's a decision made for every student for each school that they apply to. So anyway, it's valuable. And I think everybody's going to look at this data and they're going to see something different that they think is valuable for them. But it starts with collecting it and making sure we have it so that we can look at it and use it for the future.